2014, my own brother, Chris, left me stranded at a desolate Greyhound station in Detroit with nothing but a dead phone, a measly $30, and bruises etched deep into my ego. He was family, my hero even, yet he abandoned me without a second thought. He slammed the door shut and drove off. He drove off with my bag, my wallet, everything. I stood there on the curb, watching his taillights disappear, disbelief warring with a rising panic. I tried calling, straight to voicemail, again and again, so I sat at the bus station, helpless. An hour bled into night. There were no buses until morning. My phone, my last lifeline, died around 2 a.m., leaving me completely cut off. I remember staring at the dirty ceiling, the fluorescent bulbs humming above me, the sterile air filling my lungs. I wondered if I'd ever forgive him for this. The next day, the betrayal worsened. I managed to find out my debit card had been completely emptied. Chris had used it for gas and beer, casually spending what little I had left. I was truly stranded, with only $30 in my pocket, and no one to prove who I was to buy a ticket to prove my very existence. So I did the only thing Mom ever taught me when facing adversity: survive first. I slept sitting up, trying to appear nonchalant, pretending I was just waiting for a delayed bus. I begged the station clerk to let me charge my phone, a desperate plea for connection. It didn't matter. Chris never answered. 3 agonizing days later, dirty and exhausted, I resorted to hitchhiking home, swallowing my pride, relying on the kindness of strangers. When Mom, her face etched with worry, asked where Chris was, I lied. I said he'd stayed with friends, that he'd be home soon. Why did I protect him? Why did I cover for the person who had just abandoned and stolen from me? Maybe, deep down, a foolish, persistent part of me wanted to believe he'd come home too, that he'd realize his mistake, that he'd say he was sorry. He didn't. He ghosted us both for 6 devastating months. During that time, while he lived his carefree life, I busted my ass. I enrolled in community college, juggling 2 demanding part-time jobs just to make ends meet, to build a new foundation for myself, brick by agonizing brick. Every now and then, I'd see his Facebook posts, blurry pictures of him drunk with random girls, flexing in crowded clubs, living a life of careless abandon. Not a single word to Mom, not a single word to me. We didn't talk again until Dad's funeral. Years later, he showed up late, smelling faintly of whiskey, his presence a jarring, disrespectful intrusion. He had the nerve to approach me, slurring, "We shouldn't fight today, bro." I looked him dead in the eye, my voice cold with a decade of resentment. I told him he'd lost the right to call me brother. He just laughed it off, his usual dismissive charm, and pulled me into a perfunctory hug, like nothing had ever happened between us. Mom always said, blood is blood. Her words were a constant echo, a silent plea for forgiveness I wasn't sure he deserved. And so, stupid me, I kept that door cracked open, just a sliver, a faint hope that he might someday step through it and truly apologize.